Not really, like, I have everything, all my videos are posted, like, you can, I don't have like an official channel, but you
Oh
can
yeah.
Got like a million.
subscribe, like, when
A
I do
million
post something, you do
subscribers.
see it.
Smash
But yeah.
Subscribe button.
Okay, so we are gonna start, and I have a little, look at this, all my notes to remember to tell you guys. Oh my gosh, there's so much. So it's not difficult, a lot of this is gonna be stuff that you guys are familiar with. But I want to get a few things out here. So here in the next day, if we don't do it today, for sure tomorrow, you guys are gonna get a meter stick and you are going to get to, use them, okay? So I wanna go over some appropriate things to do and not to do when we're talking about a meter stick, okay? Or using rulers. What is something that you think that I do not want you to do with a meter stick?
Smack someone.
Okay, let's have hands. Gilbert.
Sword fight.
Definitely no sword fighting.
Beating the crap out of your friends.
Definitely none of that. All right, what else is this probably not what I want you to do with?
Break it.
Don't break it. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Don't do that. Don't break it. What else?
Don't bend it.
Yeah, like don't try to do like too much bending with them. Yes.
So use the inches.
Very good. Do not use the inch side. Right? So this is the side with inches. Okay, it goes from 1 all the way up to 39 and then a little extra. This is the side that's probably going to look the most familiar to you. Let's face it. We use inches, quarter inches, half inch, 8 inch, eighth of an inch, right? We use all of those when we're doing measurements here in the United States, right? But just like David said, we want to use the metric side. Okay, so the side that goes all the way up to, it says 99, but it actually goes 1 more centimeter to 100. So we'll look at that more a little bit later. What else do you think I don't want this to be? I'm gonna try to zoom. Sorry, trying to. Yeah, no.
I told you we should put it on.
Oh, you can tell whatever you want. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
this thing, every time I open it, it opens like in just a little bit different of a version of itself, and it's kind of frustrating. Ah, there we go. Hold on.
Stop trying to rob my shoes.
There we go. Okay, we're back in action. All right, so you can see that a little bit better. All right, here's some other things that in the past people have brought up. This is not a baseball bat, right? Not a lightsaber, not a sword. Some of you said that one. It's not a drumstick. Okay, so no, don't use it for drumming. If you have the rulers that have, like the wooden ones, sometimes have that little hole in the middle.
Don't put your pencil in and spin it around.
Exactly. Do not do that to it. Yeah, so it is, hey, it is not a propeller,
Everyone put your safety.
Okay. not a propeller. So, right, I don't wanna see this. I will usually give you a warning
Usually,
and then it's like, okay, you're done. Because we cannot let it get out of hand in here, and safety is always our #1 concern. So I'm just putting that out there. If I see any immature, any inappropriate behavior with any of this equipment, you will get a warning, unless it's like massively severe, like you like hit somebody, like then you just be out. But if you are doing something that is inappropriate, you'll get a warning. If it happens again, then you are not gonna be able to continue the activity and you're gonna get a 0 for the day, or on that activity or whatever it is. So safety is absolutely #1. I've gotta be able to trust you guys, and I've gotta be able to, know that you're gonna be able to be responsible and handle it. Okay? Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay, So let's look at, let me start going down my list here a little bit. Okay. So with our meter sticks, notice how the very edge is our 0. There is no extra space, there's no gap. It just goes right to the very, very edge. Okay? That makes it handy if we have another meter stick that we want to line up to it. We can just go and line them up end to end. Okay, I can just go right to the end. Now, that's true of all of our meter sticks. Our rulers, though, are a little bit different. So when you use one of my rulers, the first thing you're going to try to determine is which side am I looking at? Well, this side, which looks upside down to you right now,
Yes.
right? That is our US customary. That's our inches. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, right? You see these broken into 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, right? All the way down. That is not the side we want. I guarantee you, every year, at least one person in every class does all the measurements, and they do them in the US customary. They don't do them in the metric. We are looking at the metric side. So the side on the ruler that's gonna go up to 30. Okay, that's pretty standard. It's the side that has all these teensy tiny little spaces. Okay, so each number represents a centimeter. And I know that because remember how we said the common go-to thing for a centimeter is the tip of your finger or like the width of your fingernail? Right, so when you get the meter sticks out, and I think it'll be tomorrow, you're gonna see which one of your fingers. So maybe it's your thumb, or maybe it's your pointer finger. Again, for me, the best one, the best fit is my pinky finger. So I know that each of these numbers are measuring centimeters. And then I know that each centimeter, let me zoom it some more. Very good. What does that represent?
Millimeter.
The milli, right? Just make sure you're not shouting out because Marcus had it. He was ready to answer. I can see it in your eyes. Okay, so here's my dime. Here's my milli. Whoops, fits right in between there. So the 26 is a centimeter, going to 27, right? Going to 28, right? Each one of those numbers represents a centimeter. But each tiny little space that is marked on the ruler and marked on the meter stick are going to be your millis. So I'm gonna get my 10 dimes again. Get them out. And there should be 10 spaces. Notice that I am saying spaces, not lines, because look at this. This can get really confusing. So I have 25 to 26, that's 1 centimeter, right? Each space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you count lines, it gets confusing because you're like, okay, so I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Or do I just count the small lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Or do I have to count the small lines and that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? I just had 11, 8, 9, or 10 as answers. That's confusing. If you count spaces, you won't get confused. Because if you think of each one of these spaces as being as thick as a dime, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces. So for every 1 centimeter, you have 10 millis. And that was one of those, you got it, right? I love that. That's like my favorite thing when I can see like the light bulb come on and you're like, oh my gosh, it clicks. That's exciting, right? So I'm gonna go back over here, hold up my 10 dimes, because each dime represents a milli. And so if I go to, whoa,
There's a little over.
just a little bit. So they're about as thick as a dime, right? So between 25 and 26 is 1 centimeter. There are 10 dimes to fill up that space because each one of my spaces, just like Marcus said, is a milli, and it fills up that space. Yes.
But isn't it a crime to pay more than a dime?
Pay more than a
That
dollar?
was so funny, bro.
Comedian over here.
That's like
Okay,
from
yeah, we do
22.
have a comedian, right?
Kill.
Okay,
Class.
so
Hilarious.
understanding, and so that's looking at the ruler. Let's look at the meter stick. I have it away. Yeah. Okay, so again, these are going, try not to make you dizzy, all the way up to 99. And then at the very end, it's the last centimeter, so you get to 100 centimeters. So in the meter stick, remember how we said that, how many cents are in a dollar? Raise your hand if you remember how many cents are in a dollar. Ava?
10%.
Are you Ava?
No.
Okay, so then don't answer.
100.
100 cents in every dollar. So we said that our meter stick is gonna be like our dollar. It's broken up into 100 centimeters. So each of these numbers, right, these are representing our centis. So 73, 72, 71, and then each of those is broken into those 10 millis. So those are things from your cheat sheet that you need to know. Every centimeter is 10 millimeters. Every meter is divided into 100 centimeters, right? So those were some common equivalencies that will just kind of make it easier. But if you think of these kind of examples, the cents in a dollar, the 10 dimes in every centimeter, hopefully those things will kind of help as you're looking at these and actually starting to measure with our meter sticks and rulers, making those adjustments. Okay, so I want to show you two different two different rulers here. Let me zoom out just a fuzz. Okay, so let's get, both upside down. I don't need that. So the reason I have so much trouble is because this thing is like rotated around and like upside down. So for me, it's not what you guys are seeing. It's like looking in a mirror backwards, kind of. So
Makes sense.
it's a little bit tricky from up here. So when I'm rotating things around, I'm just trying to get everything oriented. So if you look, the one on, let me go this way. These are both the ends, okay? So, gosh, this one, there we go. Okay, this one at the top, notice how there is a gap. There is a space. So if I'm measuring, we have to leave that gap, right? We can't go to the very edge because that edge adds like, I don't know, 3 or 4 extra millimeters that we're not going to be including in our measurement, right? So we have to go to the 0 line. So the very first thing you have to do is check, is the ruler you're using have a 0 line like this one, or does it go to the very edge? This one is an edge to edge. There's no 0 line. So you're going to measure these differently based on which ruler you have. So that's the very first thing. And so I'll say, does your ruler have a 0 line or is it to the very edge? This one's to the very edge. This one has a 0 line. Did you guys see that difference? Okay. Our meter sticks all have edge to edge. Remember how I just showed you could line them up end to end. So if you have something that's over a meter, it's nice. You could just line meter sticks up end to end to end and not worry about having that extra gap, right? That would give you an inaccurate measurement. Okay, let me see.
You got a little bit of red on your.
What?
Yellow.
Yeah, there is a little bit of writing. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, there's also, yes. No? All right, so let's say if you're looking at this, if I look between my 2 and my 3, I'm gonna zoom this again. let's look at between the 3 and the 4 actually. Okay, so it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces. Anybody know what that medium length line represents? What's that gonna be, Gilbert?
The halfway point.
Very good. It's your halfway. So this would be representing like 3.5 centimeters, right? That 0.5 meaning half of the centimeter. All right, so I could name this 3.5 centimeters. Or if I know that for every centimeter it's 10 millimeters, this would be like 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 millimeters. So I could name this 35 millimeters. I could name it 3.5 centimeters. Gilbert's like, what? So it kind of depends on how I would be asking you. Some labs, I will tell you, give me your units in centimeters. So your answer would be 3.5 centimeters. If I wanted your answer in millimeters, you would have to give me, you'd have to count every space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? You'd have to count every space to get to right here. So let me put this here. So we have that visual of where we're at. Okay? So depending on how I ask you, shouldn't be so hard to line this up.
Why don't you look at your paper?
Because it's backwards. Like when I do it, well, when I do that, then there's no good way. Trust me, I've tried lots of ways. This is the best that can happen, okay?
Just like get a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm looking at this, I could, if I want the answer in millimeters, I could count every single space, but that's not super efficient, right? If we know that every centimeter has 10 spaces, we could basically skip count by 10. So 10, 20, 30, and then 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 will get me about there. Okay? Now, some people are going to see this and see that it's on the 35. Some people are going to see this and think that it's on the 36. Who sees 35? Who sees 36? That's human interpretation. I'm not here to say who's right or who's wrong. To me, it looks like it's smack dab in the middle of 35 and 36. So do you just kind of round up to 36? Maybe. So when I do this, I accept an answer one higher than I measure and one lower than I measure. Just because, let's face it, we're all human. We all have our own slight interpretation. All right, so I do give you like a little leeway. So if my answer was 35, I would take 36 millimeters and I would also take 34 millimeters. Okay, does that make sense? Just to allow for that human error, that human interpretation, because let's face it, we're not all robots. We're not all going to see everything the exact same way. So if I wanted the answer to be in centimeters though, I would have 1, 2, 3. Gilbert beautifully said that this is the halfway point. So it's like 3.5. Also, what does the point mean? Means a tenth, right? Well, each millimeter is a tenth of a centimeter. So I have 3 whole centimeters and then 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 of my centimeters. So 3.5, or if we're saying, if I move this, let's say I move it to here. Okay? If I'm looking at this as centimeters, I still have 1, 2, 3 whole centimeters, and then 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, probably to 0.8. So this would be 3.8 centimeters. So for the same length, it can be identified in several different measurements. Okay? So if this was back to millimeters, it'd be 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 38 millimeters, or the 3.8 centimeters. All right, so if you have your head down, you need to sit up. Hey, if down, you need to sit up. If you need to stand up, I get it's dark in here, I get it's Monday afternoon, but I'm not gonna be repeating this like a million times, and this is like a practical skill. Like, you definitely need to be able to know how to measure. We're gonna do quite a bit of measuring. This is a skill that's not going away. Not this year, not next year, not the years after. So like, this is important stuff, even though you're like, struggling to keep your eyeballs open. Okay? So if you need to like, shake yourself awake, shake yourself awake. Okay? So those are a couple of different ways that we're going to be able to identify, like, it's all a matter of how I'm asking you to tell me, like, the units. So if I want it in millimeters, you count in each tiny little space. If I want it in centimeters, then you're using the numbers and you're using the tenths. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. Because think about it. Every centimeter is broken into 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is like 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9. Boom, I get to 4. And then it starts all over again. 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. You guys with me? Okay. Good, good. All right, let's look at, I think, yeah. Good, and so there's also, on the on the meter stick, there's also that halfway mark, and it means the same thing. If you're at 56 and you have, if you're at 56 and we're looking at 57, 56.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 to get to 57, okay? And so this would be your 56.5. If I had something here, it'd be my 56.7, okay? And so if I wanted this in millimeters, it's basically like skip counting all the way up here by 10. So every time you're going up that meter stick, you're counting, each centimeter is worth 10. So basically you're multiplying this by 10. So you'd have 560 millimeters, right? Because each of these centimeters had 10, right? So it's just different ways of kind of looking at the same thing, okay? We'll see as we start doing some of this.
What are we seeing again?
Huh?
What are we looking at?
I'm looking at measuring.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking.
Down.
We're looking at the meter stick?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Okay. Okay, so I want to show you something else now. I can pull it up. And this is what we're going to look at tomorrow. Sorry, it's pulling up slow. Very slow.
How close can your camera go?
What are you talking about?
I don't know, they're selling. The advertisements and the sausage stuff.
Okay, here we go. So tomorrow you're gonna get a paper that looks like this. So when I say there are 3 different ways to name the same length, this is what I mean. So, Hunter, would you mind sharing what your middle name is?
Lee.
Lee? Okay, so I could call you Hunter. I could call you Hunter Lee, or I could call you Hunter Lee Powell. Put it all together, right? Either way, you guys know I'm talking about Hunter. I could identify a certain length, 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 different ways. It's just a matter of following the directions for the specific activity. So you'll learn a science science teachers, we pick units for a reason. Like, if I need you to give it in centimeters, it's because those are the units that make the most sense. If I need it to the nearest millimeter, it's because I need you to be that accurate and that precise, and that makes sense for that activity. Maybe I just need it to be to the nearest meter. It all depends on the activity and like what makes the most sense. I know what makes the most sense, and that's how I want you to give me your numbers and include those specific units. So it's not that one's better than the other, but it's what fits the activity best. So if I need it to the centimeter, this is the whole centimeter, and then these are the extra millimeters. So if I go back, come on, there we go. If I go back, so like, let's say I have something, let's say I'm measuring to like right there, okay? So if I say measure this in centimeters and then extra millimeters, it'd be 56 whole centimeters, 2 extra millimeters, okay? So if I'm measuring to this line right here, that's what that first space is really looking at. Whole centimeters, how many extra millis do you have to complete that? So when I look at this again, I have 56 whole ones, 2 extra millis. Another way that I could name this would be centimeters to the nearest tenth. I've already put the decimal point in. So 56 whole, because anything to the left of the decimal is whole, anything to the right represents my tenths, right? And those 2 millis are my tenths. So it's not like you're remeasuring something. It's just how are you like visualizing this? 56 whole and then 0.1, 0.2. So 56 whole, I can scoot this over just a fuzz. Right? So if I have 56 whole and then 0.1, 0.2 to represent my extra tenths. Because it wasn't right at 56, there's that little bit extra. And then if I wanted these in whole millimeters, it's basically like multiplying this whole thing by 2 or by 10, right? Because each one is 10. So if I go 10, 20, 30, if I count all the way up, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way up to 56, that's like every centimeter has 10 of those millis. So 56 times 10, that's 560 plus my extra 2. So 562. So 3 ways to give the same answer. 56 and 2 millimeters, 56.2, or 562. Okay, so tomorrow that's what you guys are going to get some practice doing. All right, so I just kind of want to show you ahead of time like what this kind of looks like. So these are all the same kind of setup, and then on the back, woo, it goes to, so these are going to be longer lengths, right? So we're going to be using a whole meter stick and maybe some extra pieces. So you might have to have 2 meter sticks together. Yeah, we still have like 10 minutes. Yeah, 55.
I'm terrible.
Nice try. Nice try. Okay, so remember we said that all of our meter sticks are end to end. There's no zero line. So these we can add like 1 meter stick, and then if we need to, we can get all the way and add a second one. If we needed it, we could add a third. We could just keep adding right to them. Okay, so when it says, meters, it wants how many whole meters do you have? And then how many extra centimeters? So remember, centimeters are always easy because they're the ones that have the numbers marked. So if I have 1 whole meter stick, let's say I put the 1 there, and then let's say I go to 10. I have 10 extra centimeters beyond my 1 full meter. So my 1 whole meter goes here, my 10 extra centimeters goes here. And then if I want it like this, I have 1 meter, because I have 1 whole, and anything to the left of the decimal point is whole. Anything to the right of the decimal point would be my 1/10 of a meter, because I have 10 of them. Let's say I had the 1 whole meter and I went to 81. Well, then I would have 81 extra centimeters. So that's what would go here. And then if I have 1 and 81, I have 1.81. And then down here it says now I want to round that to the 10th, so I just have to round it. So 1, and if I have 81 here, 81 rounds to 80, so I have 1.8. If I want meters rounded to the nearest whole, what does 1.8 round to? Are you closer to having 1 meter stick or 2 meter sticks? If I am, I need bigger arms, if I am this much. What do you think, David? 2. So if we want whole meters, we round this up to 2. And then if I want just centimeters, well, there's 100 centimeters in the first meter, plus the 81 from the second meter stick. So I have 100 plus 81, so I have 181 centimeters. See all the different ways? That's the same length, but it's 5 different ways I could ask you for that. So on a lab, I might say meters to the nearest 10th, and I would want it like this. Or I might say centimeters, and you'd give me an answer like this. So again, it's just different ways of giving me the same answer. Whatever would match the lab or the activity that we're doing, I'll let you know how I want your answer to be given. Yes?
Yeah.
It'll make more sense tomorrow as we actually get into it and as you're actually trying to do it. As you start to get the hang of it, so everything's gonna kind of be the same on the back. You're gonna be using the meter sticks on the back, and then you're gonna be using the rulers on the front. So once you kind of get the feel of it, you'll start to pick up that rhythm and it kind of starts to go pretty quickly. Okay? Let me stop this now.